You're listening to the Things Podcast, brought to you by the Things Industries.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alix Paultre, and today at the Things Conference, we've got Tom Trill. He's with Qualinx. And Tom, I'm really glad to have you here to chat about your company here at the show.
Great. Thanks, Alex. My pleasure.
So now, tell us about Qualinx. What are you bringing to the table for IoT?
So company Qualinx was founded on the PhD work around digital RF that came out of TU Delft. And at its fundamental, digital RF means we can take 80% of an analog radio and convert it to digital. And the result of that is we can now bring RF into digital CMOS scaling and follow Moore's law specifically. And with that, as you probably know very well, the digital scaling gives you intrinsic and organic power performance reductions and improvements. Plus your total cost of ownership ultimately improves as you scale down. Classic Moore's law of physics apply to what we can now do with analog RF.
Got it. No, because when I hear digital radio, I think software-defined radio, but it sounds to me like you're going beyond software-defined radio here.
Yeah, absolutely. The ultimate manifestation of the underlying novelty, DRF, allows us to reconfigure over the air dynamically via software. So ultimately, yes, that's how the technology manifests in a use case. And the implications of that are probably transformative insofar as we can manufacture one piece of hardware. And we do not have to configure that hardware whatsoever until even the end user's activation of the device. When they decide what protocols they want, what constellations they want, what bands they need, or performance to power. So the coupling of software-defined radio with digital RF is really, really important. But all of those benefits only come about because of the underlying hardware.
Yeah, well, yes, exactly. You can have the greatest software in the world. If you don't have the right hardware to run it, it's not going to be very functional.
Yeah, exactly. The types of applications that we can now enable downstream with our customers gives an exceptional opportunity to take cost and complexity out with the entire value chain, not only the supply chain, but the entire value chain, for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, as I mentioned, we can reconfigure or configure the receiver at the point of use. And then you can dynamically reconfigure that over the air so you can repurpose the device in a different market where a different protocol is needed, et cetera, and develop your business model around extended life cycles of the products or recycle of the lifetime of the product. Secondly, because of the effective digital scaling and our own underlying architecture, we have the ability to integrate what was normally peripheral components on the motherboard, the PCB, or the module. Things like our ADC, our LNA, and even the TCXO are all on die. So you can imagine that the simplification of a module layout or your PCB, you're removing components, you're simplifying the design, removing points of failure, and you're making your supply chain a lot more efficient. And you're making that part of your company happy with the engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, you mentioned TCXO. So they're using silicon resonator? I mean, MEMS resonators in your devices as well then, or is it just you're used to doing clock timekeeping functionality within?
Yeah, the lab. And we have a lot of similar implementations of what would ordinarily be off chip now on chip through some novelties that we have.
Got it. So now, how much of your play is a software play and how much of your play is a hardware play?
I think I am 30 years in the semiconductor industry and I will never, ever be a software guy. That's just it. It's in my DNA. I have no choice. And I think once hardware, always hardware. But I have to say that the best way for us to bring the value of our technology to every user, whether it's like Maersk with containers or you and I with wearables, or elder care, whatever it is, the best way to bring it to its fullest fruition is through software. So our company is ultimately a balance between hardware and software as we get to market.
Got it.
Now,
Are there any, I mean, I recognize that you're applicable to a great number of application spaces, but are there any particular application spaces that are recognizing your value and cleaving onto you?
oh yeah, the lowest hanging fruit per se in terms of taking advantage of the value that we bring to market are wearables, and whether that's an AR headset or wearables on your wrist or trackers for elder care, those applications where battery life is a very sensitive topic, particularly in elder care, where where people's memory and behaviors around recharging a battery, they're not really well formed or they're forgotten. And that's where we see the biggest return, in terms of use case comprehension and just doing a little bit of good for the world as well.
Got it, Tom. So, are there any aspects of the company that we haven't brought up that you think our audience should know?
Oh, that's a great question. I think our company is growing really quite rapidly, and we have a very diversified workforce. We're now 3 years ago there were four of us, and now we are 75 people. So a lot of rapid growth, but the thing that binds us is the fire in the belly, the entrepreneurship, and it's fantastic to feel that energy every day in the office, and it's alive. We have over 22 or 23 nationalities, and over 50% of the employees have relocated from outside the Netherlands to come work for us. I think as a point of validation for what we were doing, the culture we built, and our technology, not many others come close to that. So I would invite anybody that's looking for that type of an environment to come learn about DRF and help us just build a world-class company.
Very nice. So, Tom, before I let you go, do you have any final thoughts or advice for our audience on IoT development or just in general?
Oh, when I think of IoT, I always say, ask 100 people to define IoT, you get 100 different answers. But there's one commonality, and that's always, it's about seamless, affordable connectivity. And whoever can crack that code, affordable in terms of power, performance, at total cost of ownership with no trade-off, you can now interconnect the edge, interconnect the IoT. And I believe Qualinx is a company that's able to do that. So I would say don't give up on the always on connected edge. It's been elusive for 20 years, but I think we're on the brink of there.
I agree with you, Tom.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you for taking the time to sit with us. I really appreciate you coming over and learned quite a bit about the organization.
Great, my pleasure. Thank you, and enjoy the show.